Joint practice, two best words in training camp. We got to observe it today. It is SNL. Landry Locker, Cody Stutes with you. Shout out to everyone who was out there. We saw a few viewers. We're able to talk to a few. We much appreciate you for coming through, saying what's up. And it was a good day. It lived up to the billing. This was a very good practice. There were some ups, there were some downs. We divided up tasks because the Texans offense was going against the Panthers defense on one field, and then the Panthers offense was going against the Texans defense on the other. So it was a perfect split between myself and Cody. I only watched the defense for team period 2. The rest of the time I was watching the offense. So I'll be providing some offensive observations. Cody will be providing a lot of defensive observations. Will Anderson said it wasn't great. CJ Stroud said it was okay. We'll go blow for blow, and we'll let you know and let you decide for yourself how you think it went.
I thought Will Anderson was I thought he was a little too hard on the defense. I felt like they had a pretty decent day. He did talk about some mental errors and some miscues. We'll note those as we go through the play-by-play. But if I was jamming it together based off of what you said, the little bit of offense that I watched and the defense I watched, I'd go, victory Texans on the day is the way I'd go with it.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. I will say there was a lot of blah. Like if I were to summarize the offensive performance before we go toe-to-toe, I would do so like this. I would say it was a good start, blah, strong finish. That's scored on the opening drive, a touchdown to end it, and in between that, not great. But that's how I would summarize the Texans offense with what I watched. Now,
well, that's better than last year's offense because most of the time it was good start and then blah till the end.
Very true. I was wondering if Bobby Slowick was calling the offense there for a minute. So we did not get to see Christian Harris, Dameon Pierce in live action against another team. We also did not see Fatukasi and Barnett, which we kind of anticipated. Cam Robinson didn't practice either, but we already knew that wasn't going to happen. So no Harris and no Pierce. Do wonder when and if that does happen. But that was something that I was really looking forward to. It kind of sucks that we didn't get to see that.
I'd be surprised if they played in the preseason game, considering they didn't practice in the joint practice. But I would think, Detroit next week for the joint practice is the last time to get them on the field for like a physical practice against somebody that's not the Texans. They're not going to play in the third preseason game. So I'm interested to see if they get on the field with a little bit more contact allowed next week and practice against the Lions in the Motor City.
On the super chat,
you ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Logan Taylor says, how did Chubb and the other RBs look today? There were some ups, there were some downs. Nick Chubb looks like Nick Chubb. 3 yards and then running after the play. Like it's not there. Some runs are stronger than others, but there's nothing that really pops. I will say Woody Marks, like the way that he hits the hole, it's better. Dare Gumbawale. Am I going to say that Dare Gumbawale is the best back on the team right now? He had a receiving touchdown. He's picking up blitzes. He's out there doing everything that he needs to do. I don't know if that might speak more to the state of the running back position, but there were ups, downs. Dare looked good. Chubb's just kind of there. He's just kind of there. And I don't know when we're supposed to see this Nick Chubb switch flipped. Maybe it's when the actual games happen. I don't know. I can't keep up with the rule book on that, which is why I would like to see what Dameon Pierce looks like to see if there's like any difference or difference in explosion or anything like that.
The offensive period that I watched, Jawar Jordan had 2 excellent plays. We hadn't mentioned him in a few practices now, but he had 2 excellent plays. The offensive period that I watched, and I got tagged on a couple of the Nick Chubb extra runs at the end on social media. It's like,
what,
Cody
runs after the play?
Cody, look at this. And I was like, yeah, I'm looking at him getting tackled at the line of scrimmage and then pretending like the play kept going.
Oh, so they thought he was actually taken off.
Yeah.
He that's what he does. And I do wonder, like, is he going to start breaking tackles? Like maybe like if Nick Chubb's just going to break every tackle in a real game. But that is the thing that he does is when the play's basically dead, he gets up and runs more. So yeah, that's kind of the Nick Chubb. It's like
that's his MO
move right now. Wag says, greetings to the best Texans channel and fans. Greetings to you, my friend.
Good to see you, Wags. Thank you.
Dom says, what's the cap hit to cut Robinson? Give the LT job. Why would you cut a guy who could be, even if Ursary beats him out, if Cam Robinson's your backup left tackle, why would you cut him? What's the point of that? You already
spent the money.
You want Austin Deculus and Zach Thomas to play away? That's terrible.
They've already spent the money. Don't
terrible.
cut him.
That's a terrible suggestion.
I'm totally fine if they end up giving the left tackle job to Ursary. And
they're not. They're not. Spoiler alert, they're not. And the reason why they're not is because I wouldn't mind them doing it. I think if it were just about the tackles, then I think that maybe you would consider it. But I think it's as much about Ingram as it is anything else, where Titus, I think the fall off from Titus to Ingram might be a little bit heavier, to where Cam Robinson on the left side and Ursary on the right. I just don't. Maybe they decide that and they're comfortable with Ingram. I don't know that would be the smartest decision. Like in my opinion.
And they still got a couple of things to figure out with that offensive line, and when Robinson can get back is a huge determining factor in that.
So we mentioned no Barnett, no Fatukasi, no Robinson, no Harris, no Pierce. Tank was out there. I mean, he's just going to be around the team. That's just kind of
Tank was out there watching.
Yeah. Tank was out there watching, walking around, obviously.
Yeah.
CJ Gardner-Johnson was on the side. We saw him. He was spending some time with Steve Smith. Jalen Petrie and Arthur Mollett are still the only two guys in the Petrie line.
Yep.
So you have that. And by the way, this is our question of the day here on SNL as we go through the Texans joint practice. Is DeMeco Ryan too much of an offensive-minded coach? He was on the offensive field the whole time. Did the Texans have a guy who only cares about offense? Put it in the comments. Are you worried about DeMeco Ryans being a one-dimensional offensive-minded coach? It was all offense for him. Someone asked him afterwards it was Sam, I think, about the coverage, and he's like, I saw one play on defense. I saw Stingley's interception. Other than that, I was all offense today. So is DeMeco Ryans too much of an offensive-minded head coach? Let me know. Do the Texans need to get someone who's more balanced?
They need one of those special teams coaches that can watch both sides of the football.
No, I like that DeMeco did that, though. I like that DeMeco did that.
He put the O back in DeMeco today.
Yes, he did. He was all offense. Josh on the chat says, will the media ever get a boom mic? What are you talking about?
I think he's talking about for press conferences.
They've done a better job of putting it like to where you can kind of hear it. The problem in that thing is it's so compact and it's like kind of on a practice field. So there's a lot going on there. Quite frankly, with some of the stuff, some of the questions and some of the people asking questions during camp, like it's probably for the best. If we're being completely honest, like I'm sorry, but that's neither here nor there. That's probably a little too inside baseball, but you know, hey, what's that movie called with Owen Wilson, Vince Vaughn, The Internship? Anyway, team one. So we get to team one. The Texans decided.
By the way, there wasn't any screwing around today. Sometimes joint practices, you do drills and you get some O-line, D-line, you get some linebackers, running backs, and some 7-on-7. So nope.
No.
Individual warm-ups, straight to team.
Here's what happened. So they let Carolina do all the stuff before team outside on the two fields. The Texans did it in the bubble, and they basically just came out as soon as it was time for team. So they basically took advantage of their facility, and they came right out at team. And here's how we divided this up. I watched the offense on team one. Cody watched the defense on team one. We switched on team two, and then we went back to our bases for the remainder. So I'm hearing Cody's observations for the first time. He's hearing my observations for the first time. I trust him. I think he trusts me. Do we want to start on the defense or do we want to start on the offense? That is the question.
Oh, I think everybody wants to start with the offense.
Okay. Well, let's start at offense. Here was what happened on the offense, and it started out very nicely. So the offensive line left to right, the one that we become kind of accustomed to, was Ariante Ursary on the left, at left tackle, Laken Tomlinson left guard, Andrews center, Ingram right guard, and then Titus Howard right tackle. Right off the top, Nick Chubb stuffed at the line of scrimmage. No gain. Then we had a pass breakup by Jackson intended for Stover. Not great. Then CJ on third down does his thing. Plenty of time. He finds Xavier Hutchinson to move the chains to the 30. They started on the 40 in this period. So he moves the chains with Xavier Hutchinson. Xavier Hutchinson, by the way, having a hell of a camp, hell of a player, might make it very interesting. He might be John Mechie's best friend right now because he's doing the things that they probably wanted him to do, that they maybe envisioned Watson doing, but he's doing his thing and he's continuing to play well. Then an easy 10 plus for Jalen Knoll across the middle, moves it to inside the 20. Then he missed on a back shoulder throw to Nico Collins. Just kind of a little bit of miscommunication, nothing crazy. Then Nick Chubb stuffed to the right. It seemed like he was enjoying the contact though. So maybe if it was like full contact, he would have been able to get through it. Who knows? And then Nico Collins for an easy touchdown. Just complete light work right off the top for the offense, and a hell of a start for CJ Stroud in the on the offense.
So they were doing a pretty good amount of mixing and matching with those wide receivers, huh? Because I mean, you mentioned Hutchinson in there, Knoll at one point. Obviously, we know. I mean, Kirk was in there in the slot, I'm guessing.
Kirk was there, and we will hear from Kirk a little bit later on in situational. Then, though, it was time for the second team, starting at the 40. We had Woody Marks with a nice 5-yard burst, nice run. Then we had two tight ends. The two tight ends were Luke Lachey and Irv Smith as the two tight ends. They ran Woody Marks behind those two guys on the right side. Probably not smart. Although Woody Marks did a you're cringing at that thought.
That doesn't sound like a winning play.
It wasn't, but Woody Marks did do a good job of picking up one or two on it. Like he fell forward. So Woody Marks did his thing there. Then we had a sideline catch by Watson on the sideline that moved the chains. Jawar Jordan stuffed up the middle. Then Knoll across the middle for about 4 yards. A nice strong run by Jawar Jordan on 3rd and 6. It moved the chains, and you could see Tank Dell on the sidelines. He was like kind of clapping. Tank Dell was really into this, but it was a run that definitely would have moved the chains. It wasn't like one of those like what's up. It was they cleared a hole for him. He moved to the left. He fell forward. They would have picked it up on the surprise run. Tank Dell loved it, and then you had Marks drugged down. And then on 3rd and 9, they kind of threw it to Mechie, and then they called it a wrap on team period 1 from the offensive POV. So good start. The first team offense does their thing. Second team offense, little bit. And the offensive line held up to the point where I looked over and I didn't recognize this guy. Now, I looked and I saw this guy like with a big smile on his face after team 1. And I was like, who is that? Then I looked down and I saw legs that looked like they could squat like 800 pounds. And I realized, oh, that's Cole Popovich. I haven't seen him smile that big all camp. So Cole Popovich was smiling. Very, very big smile by Cole Popovich after team 1. And I think he was pleased with the way that they started.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear that the very stern, resting, pissed off face Cole Popovich cracked a smile. That's good. That's good.
So let's go to the defense, the strength of the team, the defense.
So defense for the Texans, they primarily operated in nickel. So they started with Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter at end, Tim Settle and Sheldon Rankins, a defensive tackle, though they were rotating quite a bit along the defensive line throughout the course of all the defensive sessions. Your linebackers were To'o and Aziz Al-Shire. Jalen Petrie was your nickel. And then your secondary was MJ Stewart and Kalen Bullock on the back end. and obviously Kamari Lassiter and Derek Stingley at cornerback.
By the way, D'Amico loves MJ Stewart. He made it seem like, now I hate MJ Stewart, and I'll tell you why I hate MJ Stewart. Because the reason D'Amico loves him is the reason I hate a lot of people in my life. Because he said that MJ Stewart's questions extend the meeting. He said MJ Stewart is the guy that's always talking and asking questions and making the meetings go a little bit longer. And D'Amico likes it. Me, as someone who used to work in the real world, when you're like in a meeting and it's kind of a BS meeting, I don't like that guy. So I'm not a big MJ Stewart fan anymore. I know D'Amico is. I'm not a big fan of MJ Stewart.
I knew as soon as he said, yeah, MJ Stewart really gets the meetings going with his conversation. I'm like that. Well, nobody likes that. What's going on there? Okay, so they started in
questions and keeps it going. And
yeah. So they started in nickel. Kamari Lassiter got things going. The Panthers worked this thing sideways, and Lassiter was just there, just blew up the wide receiver, tackle for a loss. We read it perfectly, fired in there. Bryce Young over the middle for a first down. This was a weird play. I don't know if everybody operated the way they were supposed to. It felt like it was maybe like a coverage mishap. Tim Settle dropped into coverage. It was like kind of weird looking. He almost got his hand on the ball, which was kind of crazy too. And then they gave the ball to Chuba Hubbard. He ran it up the middle for a pretty decent gain. They ran a draw for a short gain. Henry To'oTo'o had it read and kind of sorted through the offensive linemen to get there. And Dylan Horton and Mario Edwards combined for a sack. I wanted to give it to one of them, but I mean, they were both.
Did Mario Edwards go nuts like he always does when he gets back there?
Losing it.
He's up there. He's up there with Bullock in the crazy ass celebration category. By the way, he's the only one in that category.
Yeah. So then Bryce Young went quick to the sideline against Kamari Lassiter, and Lassiter stopped the wide receiver tackle for no gain is what I wrote down for it. And then Xavier Legette had a false start at wide receiver, backed the Panthers up a little bit. They're probably about, at this point, 35 or so yards out. And Xavier Legette made up for it in the very next play. He fired down the sideline. He just ran a go. Jalen Smith was there. Smith was kind of, caught up to him as the ball was getting there. Legette turned around and slowed down. And then Smith was in front of Legette, between him and the ball, and Legette just mossed him. Went up, grabbed the ball, touchdown, sideline. I mean, just Jalen Smith, man. He had a rough day. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But it just wasn't uncompetitive Jalen Smith rep. Xavier Legette just got him. That was it for the first team defense in that team one period. Team two, very first play of team two. Darrell Taylor it's like he teleported to the quarterback. Andy Dalton caught the snap and took a quick look, and then Darrell Taylor was there and the play was over. And it was like, what the hell happened there?
He's having a very, very good camp. And but I think he's a little bit nicked up. He's kind of reminding me, not as extreme and not as dramatic. And I don't think he's as desperate to have to make the team. But remember last year when Kendrick Green was clearly hurt and he just had to gut it through practice for the rest of it. And you'd always see him limping and going off the field. Darrell Taylor seems like he's kind of having to grind the last few days. They might need to rest, ice him up and let him rest a little bit, but he is gutting through it. And I think his roster spot, I think it's safe. I think it's safe at this point. Oh, yeah. So I don't know that he really has to fight for his life like Kendrick Green did last year.
Yeah. They take him into the cooling room a lot too. So that's something else too, is maybe just not used to the climate. But he started the second team portion of team one with a sack. And I just wrote sack. Wow. Hunter Renfrow, he's still alive.
Yeah.
Just a short, quick route for him. Young goes sideways again. EJ Speed sniffs that thing out and stuffs it for a short gain. Then the Panthers ran a screen. Excuse me, not Bryce. It was Dalton. Dalton went sideways. Panthers ran a screen, and the defense, wasn't really ready for it. So they got a little first down there. Jamal Hill had a tackle for no gain, just right there, filled the hole, ready for it. Then the Panthers had a false start. They were just, the defense was kind of doing the, make you jump thing, and one of the linemen moved. Then Junior Tafuna flies through the middle of the offensive line, and Andy Dalton's like backing up, like, what the hell is this giant human being coming at me for? And so Dalton tried to get rid of it, and then Tafuna swatted it down. It's a good job by him.
Where's he from? Where is Tafuna from?
Utah.
No, but where is he from?
Oh, from? Well, I mean, he's obviously got some sort of,
So he's from Utah. Okay, yeah. So he is from Utah.
He's clearly
like
got
he went to high school in Utah. I was just wondering because my man walked out barefoot.
Yeah, I mean, my
man didn't even have slides on. He walked on the damn concrete down to the field barefoot, carrying his cleats. Barefoot.
Yeah, he's certainly got some Pacific Islander heritage to him. He looks so different in pads than out of pads too. It's just he's a big guy. But
yeah, I was like, man, that's a badass dude right there. He's just walking on the damn sidewalk.
And he nearly
barefoot.
He nearly smashed old Andy Dalton there. And then they wrapped up team 1, second team defense. Dalton was just coverage was good, too far on the outside for Hunter Renfrow, and that was all she wrote for team 1 period.
All right, so we'll go to team 2 defense in a sec. Let's just keep this rolling because this was your offensive time. So let's go defense to offense. We gotta keep a nice healthy mix. We can't all be just simple offensive minded folk like D'Amico Ryans. We gotta mix it up and be complete football programs. So, and if you're just tuning in, I'm just kidding. D'Amico, and if you do tune in late, you can always go back and rewind. That's the beauty of this thing. But D'Amico was with the offense the entire time, which Stutes was for team period 2. Let me see if there were any observations between this. Nah, the Cole Popovich smile was all I saw.
Yeah.
That I thought I observed between 1. But now let's go to team 2 offense.
All right, team 2 offense, the offensive line that Landry told you about: Ursery left tackle, Tomlinson left guard, Andrews center, Ingram right guard, Titus Howard right tackle. CJ Stroud quick to the right to Xavier Hutchinson. Then they had a coverage sack if you're being tough on the offense. Some people called it a CJ Stroud scramble. I called it a coverage sack. There's nobody was open. Stroud's looking around. He finally just takes off to the left. Then it was Nick Chubb for a short gain. And then CJ Stroud, he went short and early on Nico. It looked like Nico was expecting Stroud to take just a second more. And so Nico ran a little bit deeper. And so Stroud was kind of short on that. And then the first team offense, they're off. And they were doing this thing in team 2 where they didn't have a first down. They started everything on 2nd and 10, which I thought was kind of interesting. Team 2 gets in there right off the bat. Jawar Jordan, left side, big rush, nearly 10 yards. And then Davis Mills hits Jaden Higgins on a crosser over the middle. And this was a beautiful, beautiful play design because I watched the replay on the video board. Higgins lined up outside. I don't remember who was inside. Higgins lined up outside. The inside receiver goes probably about 6-7 yards and runs across. And Higgins slots in below him across the field. So they're both running across the field. The defense goes with the deeper receiver, and Higgins was wide open, catches it, takes it up the field. Really cool play design. Jakob Johnson with a lead block, couldn't get anything. Woody Marks is right behind him. Nothing there. And then Davis Mills ran a perfect screen, had the defense flow in one way, dumped it back to Jawar Jordan. Jalen Thomas was flying out of the offensive line out there. He went and just demolished some poor defensive back, and then Jawar Jordan was cutting that thing up the field. I think for about 20 yards probably.
So Jawar did his thing today.
Yeah, Jawar did his thing today. I would say about 20 yards before anybody got close to him. So it was perfectly designed, perfectly called, perfect time. They get the first team offense back out there. Nick Chubb runs to the left, no gain. A cornerback blitz gets home on the Texans on that one. So that was not good. They just missed the guy. And then Nick Chubb gains 8 yards on a draw play, which was kind of crazy to see. And then CJ Stroud, tons of time, left to Dalton Schultz. Dalton catches the ball. He gets to go in, kind of full speed, thumps a little Panthers DB, kind of keeps going. And that was it for Team 2 offense.
All right, so now we go to the defensive side of the ball. Normal starters out there. So you had Jalen Petrie out there as kind of your third linebacker. They forced the throw out of bounds to Bryce Young, a little bit of pressure. He gets rid of it, throws it out of bounds. Then you mentioned Jalen Smith. Leggett just runs an out, and Bryce Young throws a dart on the sidelines, which would have moved the chains about 12 yards. Then Chuba Hubbard with a bounce out. It could have been a long gain, but Henry To'oTo'o kind of holds on for dear life, just grabs him by the back and then forces him out of bounds for about maybe 2 or 3 yards, somewhere between that. Then you had a forced fumble by Azeez Al-Shire. It was to tight end. It was either 45 or 46. He had his jersey rolled up, but it was a white guy. And Azeez Al-Shire just completely punched it out of his hands. I think it would have been like a legit strip. I don't think it was like one of those they're not tackling types of things. Then they brought in Andy Dalton. ETN runs up the middle for a little bit. Then you had a Hunter Renfrow, just one of those short like slot receiver 3-yard catches where they just get buried in the sand. That was what Renfrow had. Then David Moore ran a slant on Tremont Smith for about 8 or 9. Pretty decent gain. Then tight end James Mitchell, hell of a post, probably like 20 yards on Arthur Mollett. I wondered how Mollett would look in live action. Not great for him there. Then you had JJ Taylor go down. Darrell Taylor, excuse me, not JJ Taylor. Darrell Taylor goes down. Just walks off the field under his own power, but a little bit more of what we've been seeing the last couple of days. He gets kind of nicked up and goes off the field. Then they bring Bryce back in. They hand it to Rico Gathers. He's bottled up by Petrie, one of those like Petrie close to the line of scrimmage blitz type of joints where he gets a TFL. Then there was a slant to Tet McMillan, and then the
timeout. Rico Dowdle.
Who did I say?
Rico Gathers.
Oh God. I just put Rico Dowdle for the Cowboys last year. Cowboys leading rusher. So then the final play of the team period was a Derek Stingley interception near the end zone of Bryce Young. And Derek Stingley is really sneaky with the interceptions in the opposing end zone. I remember when he baited Trevor Lawrence his rookie season. It's kind of something that he does. It's almost like he baits these guys and uses like the sideline and his closeout skills. And I thought that was a good way to finish things before a 5-minute break and special teams, which was just a basic ass special teams thing. They had to call Woody Marks over. They wanted him there, but before team 3, that was kind of how that ended for the Texans defense. Let's go to these soups real quick. C_713.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Shout out to SNL, always on point. You don't have
Shout
to
out to
lie.
you.
You don't have to lie, my friend, but we appreciate you, Mr. C. Evan says, like Sean, Stover murdered Brown.
Have you seen the clip that's making the rounds where Stover was, I guess he's lined up like kind of like fullback and he just punked the defensive tackle?
Physical guy, man.
Oh, yeah.
Wag says his joint practices for scouts to see possible cuts. No, I mean, they're looking at cuts 24/7 in any situation. HDAV afternoon, mi amigo.
Good to see you, my friend.
Main 94. Howdy, y'all. Cody, I see the stats coming in nicely. Yes, it is. That was a disgrace what he pulled a few weeks ago. Evan McKinley said it's good that the offense goes against this defense daily. Iron sharpens iron. Stover killed Brown too, by the way. So still talking about that.
Yep.
Trill Kick X had to rewind any Trent Brown sighting. I haven't seen Trent Brown.
He was working out on a side field.
Yeah, I haven't seen Trent Brown. How hard was he working out? Are we doing the real football activities or what?
It was more than he previously had. Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. Trent Brown sighting. Have not seen him in a while. I missed that. What team would you say won practice?
Texans.
Okay. Trill Kick X, Landry, you've seen them struggling with the heat. Hashtag drop the top to NRG. Yeah, drop it, man. Drop it. Yeah, just like that Buffalo and those assholes make you play in the cold. Drop it and make them play in it. Shout out to Stressens. Much appreciation. Mi amigo. So then we go to Team 3. Do we want to start on offense? I think so.
Go for it.
It was not great. It was not great. So in Team 3, on they started on their own 25. You had a sack by Turk Wharton, and it was on the right side. It was kind of between Titus and Ingram. Not great at all on the right side. Yeah, you had to look that up. I know. Then you had a Nick Chubb run up the middle, the usual Nick Chubb run up the middle. And then Nico on the sidelines, right there on the left side, just a nice little dime. Nico Collins moves the chains, and it got these sidelines pretty excited. Then 1st and 10, we get a pissed off coach. Could I interest you in a pissed off coach?
Yes, please.
Would you care to guess who the pissed off coach is?
1st and 10, pissed off coach. Was it Cole Popovich?
It was not. It was Jake Moreland, the tight end coach, and he was pissed off at Jakob Johnson because Jakob Johnson was lined up as the lead blocker, and apparently he did not move his feet as much as Jake Moreland would have liked him to, and he was very frustrated and was paying close attention to Jakob Johnson, who, by the way, was running with the 1s and 2s. So Jakob Johnson getting a lot of work and a lot of looks at both tight end and fullback. So Moreland not happy with that. 2nd and 10, we had a little play action rollout. Now there was a flag at the line of scrimmage. It ended up being like kind of a non-play, and then they just keep it at 3rd and 8. And then a Texas native with a batted down pass. Ashawn, big old Ashawn Robinson with the bat down. I think he's from Wichita Falls, if I'm not mistaken. Played for Nick Saban, but he had a batted down guy. He's been in the league for a while now.
He's been in the league like a decade. I called his basketball game in like regional basketball game back in the day.
I bet that was a massive human being in the front. My boy, one of my friends actually coached him in basketball. So yeah,
he could do standing dunks. It was disgusting. He was such a freak athlete.
Then we had a 1st and 10. We had a strong 3-yard gain by Nick Chubb. 2nd and 9, we had a play action sack. Not great with the offensive line. While this was going on, Nico Collins runs by. He goes to the cooling tent. So Nico Collins, he will be back. So stay tuned. But Nico Collins run into the cooling tent. You can get used to this heat. It's still a real thing. So Nico goes to the cooling tent. And then on 3rd and 9, they just run Dare up the middle. And then they bring in the 2s. And you have 76 left to right, the offensive line. We have 76, 72, 54, 70, and 57. So this is not the ideal offensive line, but you do have Blake Fisher on the right side. You have Juice Scruggs on the right. And then you have Thomas, and you have a little Deculus action or Zach Thomas action.
78, Zach Thomas.
Yeah. No, this was 76. This was Deculus.
Okay, no, that's Deculus.
Yeah, this was Deculus. You had Johnson in with both the 1s and 2s. I did make note of that. So they're working him out, man. They're trying to see how much he can handle, and they're clearly giving him a chance to make this 53. And they're coaching him very hard. You had a hitch to Justin Watson. Then you had a penalty. Then you had a sack. Then you had a long out to Luke Lachey, who's getting some work with the 1s and 2s. Then J.J. Taylor stuffed. Then an interception by Chris Barnes in a big celebration. And then an incomplete throw in the sand. And there was a long flag route to end this to Jalen Knoll. This probably would have been a touchdown. Hell of a throw by Davis Mills. So the Texans in that period with a touchdown. Let's go to the defensive side of the field for Team 3.
Yeah, so the third team period here. You mentioned it. Team 2 finished with Derek Stingley interception. I believe that was intended for Teteroa McMillan. Well, revenge of the rookie to start the Team 3 period, because Bryce Young, play action, and McMillan, he had Stingley off the line the whole way, ran across the field, probably 30 air yards, and then another 40 or so yards on the ground for McMillan. Touchdown on Derek Stingley. Did not expect to see that today. I mean, just left Stingley in the dust, and Stingley, you could see kind of like as McMillan was catching it, he's like, F it, I'm not chasing that guy all the way down there as a touchdown. It's right behind the defense, and it's probably the best play the Panthers had all day. They follow that right up with a little short pass to the left from Bryce Young, and the tight end would have been murdered in this situation. He ran back towards the line of scrimmage, and Danielle Hunter had turned around and saw him with the ball, and they like collided. And I was like, in a live rep, he would have cut him in half like Bill Goldberg. What a dumbass that tight end was. Kamari Lassiter called for pass interference. Didn't matter. He allowed the catch anyway. Probably about 15-yard gain or so. It's okay. Danielle Hunter got it back. Sacked Bryce Young. Play action. Danielle Hunter was not fooled. He flies in there. I was 90 yards away from Bryce Young, and I saw his eyes this big when Danielle Hunter was standing there. They dump it off for a small gain to the left, and now it's third and very long because the Hunter sack was like 10 yards. Third and very long. Darrell Taylor jumps off sides. Bryce Young just throws it up down the sideline to Xavier Legette. It's not even close to Legette. Like, he cannot catch the football. Like, it's in the vicinity, but he can't catch the football. And Jalen Smith is defending Legette. Legette turns around to see it, and Smith puts his arms up, and I'm like, okay, good play, good play. And then he just touches Xavier Legette before the ball
Didn't turn around. Got to turn that head. 30.
Doesn't turn around, touches Legette. Official, could not have thrown the flag faster. So brand new set of downs there. Jake Hansen sniffs out a play action pass for a tackle for a loss. They have a little short run to the right. Petrie cleans it up, and then they have a swarm sack to finish up the first team there in this Team 3 period. And so, the touchdown, the Jalen Smith play, but everything else was, pretty well decent. The second unit comes in, Andy Dalton with a play action short left. Then he has a nice deep pass left to number 87, who is a big fella. 6'4" Bryson Tremaine. His name will be important in a minute. Guess who was in coverage on Bryson Tremaine with the second team?
Jalen Petrie. Now, Jalen Smith.
No. Mr. Perfect Passer rating himself, D'Angelo Ross.
Oh, man.
Little run up the middle. They throw it back to 87 again for a screen on the right, and the defense just didn't read it. Was well blocked. Nice up the field. Russ Yeast gets in there on a tackle for a loss, chases down the running back from the backside. Really good play by him. Solomon Byrd draws a hold on an incomplete pass that Dalton just dirted it. Then the defense jumps off sides, back-to-back plays, which was maddening for the coaches. But they were both incompletes. And we finished with a tackle for no gain from – hold on. Jackson Woodard. There we go.
Very nice.
That was the end of Team 3 on defense.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Shane O says 1 to 10. Rate the play from the Spank Bank today. The defense. You were watching the defense. 1 to 10.
I'd go like 8.5. Like, obviously, Jalen Smith had some very bad moments. Stingley allowed the one touchdown, but he also had an interception. And they got Lassiter once or twice. And so I'd say 8.5. There's some really, so we'll get to here in a later team period, some really good coverage stuff in the red zone.
Cesar says, yo, Cody, what you get at Best Buy yesterday? Today.
Yeah, I went to Best Buy. I'm looking at desktop computers. So let's do a little check it out over at the old Best Buy.
That's nice, bro.
You should have come over and say hello.
I got the HP. I got the Pizzle.
That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at one of those.
Has Hutch earned a soundboard? X gonna give it to him. Ooh, I think he has, and I think that's a hell of a suggestion by you.
Trill kick. That's a real good suggestion.
X gonna give it to him. We got that. That is marked. That is marked right here. Let me go ahead and put that in my X. Gonna give it to him. See, that's why the people.
Well, he's probably the player that that has had the biggest discrepancy from who I thought he was going to be and what he's actually been so far in training camp.
So did they. Like the all the stuff that they did, so did they. And appropriately so, by the way. Like appropriately so. But yes, he has had the best camp based on expectation by far. And they felt the same way too, based on their actions and what they did. Appropriately so, by the way.
Correct. He's been much better than anybody could have expected, including them, probably.
Yeah, no doubt. Dominic says, should we be concerned we haven't heard much about Higgins during camp? I don't think so. I mean, I wouldn't.
Hey, go get you some Q-tips, Dom.
Dom is in panic mode, man. He's in wheels off mode.
His pessimism is never ending in the YouTube chat. And then when I text with him, he's like, should I go to San Francisco this year? I'm like, well, let's slow down a little bit here. Like in the group chats, he's like,
he's freaking out, man.
Santa Clara in February.
He's bringing that Jersey energy here, man. Like it's not that bad right now. It's not that bad right now.
And then he gets in the YouTube chat and he's like, sky's falling. Like, okay, what happened to Santa Clara? You were sending me Airbnbs.
Let's go to Team 4, red zone action. We start off Team 4. Say it with me. 1, 2, 3. Chubb stuff. Now say it with me again. The remix. 1, 2, 3. Chubb
stuff.
And push like a sled. Then we have an interception. This was intended for Christian Kirk. Mike Jackson with an interception in the red zone. Not great. Then we had a pressure and run by CJ. I think he actually felt it pretty well, but that was the end for the first team in red zone. Davis Mills comes in. Woody Marks stuffed on a run to the right and then up the middle. Then we had a Davis Mills batted pass, perhaps an interception. I don't know what the refs ended up calling there. It was kind of far away, but not good. Not a good start in the red zone. Then Davis Mills got flushed out. I think he might have actually scored a touchdown on this. He does a really good job of feeling pressure and rolling to the other side. Have you noticed that skill that Davis Mills has kind of developed? This, like he did it with at the Greenbrier, he hit, I think, Higgins, where he rolled out and hit Higgins. It was either Higgins or Knoll.
It was Hutch for that big play.
It was Hutch, yes. And he's done it a couple of times. He did it at the end of to hit Knoll at the end of Team 2. Like Davis or Team 3 might have been one. I don't know, whichever one it was. But Davis Mills has developed a nice skill of kind of feeling the pressure and then smoothly moving to the other side. Then CJ Stroud back in. Say it with me. 1, 2, 3. Chubb stuff. Then we had a Nico Collins, by the way, running back. He's ready to go. So he is out of the tent at this point. So Nico running back onto the field. He got hydrated. Steve Smith was there. Maybe Nico Collins iced up. But he goes out there. You have a CJ Stroud rollout to Stover. Stover pushed out of bounds deep in the red zone. Then a Stroud TD pass to Daria Gumbawale across the middle. Very nice one, too. Very, very nice. Daria Gumbawale right across the middle. CJ got the ball to Daria, so Daria gets the touchdown. Then you had CJ really, really, really feeling the pressure nicely at the touchdown to Nico Collins straight from the tent. So Nico Collins had a hell of a day today. I think a lot of times when Stingley's on him, I don't know that CJ really looks his way, but Nico had a good day despite having to go get some hydration. Then we had Davis Mills, just a terrible misdirection play. I don't know what the hell it was, but I do know that CJ Stroud, he said he's been working on his body language. This did not pass the body language test because CJ Stroud, as he was watching this, was like, what the heck? Like, what the hell was that? So it was an awkward ass misdirection. I don't know if it was a fumbled snap. I don't know if it was ugly. Then a nothing out to Luke Lachey, not much of a gain. Then a slant to Mechie inside the 5. And then how about we end team period 4? And by the way, we're going to get 5 team periods today. But we end it with a touchdown on the right side to Braxton Berrios, who is from the Carolina area. So Braxton Berrios with a touchdown to end team period 4 for the Texans offense.
All right, team period 4 for defense. Just sit down. I know you're sitting down, but everybody else sit down here. Bryce Young had to throw it away because the guy that he was targeting the whole time was locked up by Jalen Petrie. Tight Petrie coverage. It's Petrie Island, baby. And Bryce Young had to throw that thing away to get that started. By the way, they didn't start in the red zone like the other guys did. They sort of ended up in the red zone, but they didn't start there. Then it was another great coverage play. Kalen Bullock is all over the receiver, and he's in there. Receiver can't come up with it. Bryce kind of, throws it like away to the point where it's like maybe he can make a slide and catch, but not. But Bullock was all there, and Will Anderson was eating those offensive linemen alive right there. Then they had then this was one of the better throws Bryce Young made all day. Just kind of whipped it over the middle to that James Mitchell at tight end. Whipped it over the middle, right through like 2 defenders that were crossing. Really good play. The pass rush was kind of there, but Bryce had kind of did that, like where you kind of fade back just till your throw's open, and then he kind of whipped it out there. And then he whipped it out there, and that was also a Daniil Will Anderson rush next to each other play, which I thought was interesting. And then they run right. Petrie cleans it up, and that was first team offense off. Second team offense, run right, no gain. Run left, no gain. Andy Dalton scrambles, and I thought I saw an offensive lineman pull Mario Edwards down because he just face planted. Like he was about to kill Andy Dalton, and he just face planted. And he got up and he's kind of looking at the offensive lineman like, why'd you do that again? Little play action for a small gain. Nick Neiman cleaned that up. Then they get in the red zone. They move it in like, I'm not even red's like goal line, like probably for the 8-yard line. Henry Toto with a tackle for no gain. And then MJ Stewart just step for step, move for move, locks up Jatavian Sanders. Really good job. 3rd and 5 in the third and goal, I guess. 3rd and goal. And there's a false start, but they let the play keep going. Tim Settle flies through the line. Nobody touches him. He's all over Bryce Young. They let the play keep going, and then Bryce Young dumps it off to the left. And so because they let the play keep going, Kalen Bullock just thumps this poor Panthers wide receiver. Never saw it coming. And then Bullock's all over Xavier Legette on the next play in the end zone, forcing an incomplete pass. Legette can't handle it. Bullock's right there with him. That was a really good job. Jake Hansen tackle for no gain. Arthur Millette just read this thing beautifully. Tackle for a loss.
He's kind of nasty, man. He's kind of a nasty mofo.
I almost wonder if they need to find a way to keep him on the roster.
He's been around for a long time, and you kind of see why. And there's just some nasty to number 22. Just like, and I know they like Miles Bryant. The problem with Miles Bryant is he's a safety now. Like, I don't think people notice this, but like, he's a safety. So like when you're doing corners, they don't really look at him as a corner. They look at him as someone. He's done a really good job. Like Miles Bryant's done a really good job and had a really good camp. The problem is, though, I think Millette plays inside too, and he's more of like a corner than a safety. And Miles Bryant's almost too small to be a safety. But ever since the Gardner Johnson injury, we've seen Miles Bryant work out with the corners. We've seen him, and this might help him. We've seen him work out in the Petrie line, which is now just Petrie and Millette. And we've seen him work out at we've seen him at safety now. He's in like the safety line. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but for some reason there's something about Mollett where it's just like he's a nasty son of a bitch, man.
Well, he read this
nasty. He is a nasty dude.
He read this thing perfectly, easily 5-6 yard loss. Dalton's too far out on the pass. Good coverage by Nick Neiman, and then the final portion of this period, Andy Dalton kind of sees some of the pressure off the edge and goes to back up, but he doesn't have the football, so he just drops the football. It's on the ground. He kind of looks at it, business decision. He's not going to get it. And
you don't hang around in the league that long by diving for balls in practice.
And so one offensive lineman looked down as between his legs, and he just belly flopped on it. And
the spirit of Jeremy Tunsil lives on.
Yeah. So, and that was the end. So that good job by the first team defense to shut him down at the goal line. Good job by the second team defense to shut him down at the goal line.
All right. So then we go to there's a 6-minute special teams period. And I'll say this, it was kind of like a blah special teams period, but I did notice one thing. Speaking of nasty, Russ Yeast is just kind of like he just wants to fight all the time, because there was one little rep where it was basically it wasn't like I want to fight. It was like it doesn't matter to me. I remember one time when I was in an intense league, there was this dude that was just you could tell that he was pretty rough. He was smoking a blunt before the game. He was just trouble. And we were we were going toe to toe, shoulder to shoulder in the post. He just looks over and says, "It doesn't matter to me." And I was just what does that mean? And I knew what it meant, but it was just kind of that was a good line by him. So Russ Yeast on special teams, he just has his hand on the guy, grabbing his shoulder pad like that. And it's almost like he wanted him to swing, but he wasn't going to be the aggressor. The guy just walked away and it was fine. But that was it doesn't matter to me by Russ Yeast. Let's start with the defense and we'll finish with the offense. So we'll go to the defense. Cody Stutes observing team period 5 with the defense. Between the Texans defense and the Carolina Panthers offense.
All right, so this is a 2-minute drill. They start at the 40-yard line, minute 20 on the clock, and 1 timeout each. So they get this thing started with a short pass to Leggett from Bryce Young. Really good rush by Will Anderson. And then it was 4-on-4 violence. Tet McMillan, Kamari Lassiter, they tangle up. And Kamari's and then Tech kind of gets loose for a second, throws his hands out there, ball hits him in the hands, hits the ground, which is probably good because they're trying to save time there. Little short right for a first down. Clock's still running, and they run a play, and then Will Anderson just right past the tackle, right in there, sack. Dave Canales runs in, screaming timeout, so they use their timeout to stop it. And the very next play, Will Anderson's offsides, and Young just fires a missile over the middle, right through coverage to Mitchell Evans, the rookie tight end out of Notre Dame. And he starts, rumbling down the sideline, or rumbling down the middle of the field, And then Kamari Lassiter he gets big-bodied. He gets big-bodied by the 6'4" guy, Tremaine, for a big play. Gets him right down there in the goal line situation, and Young finds Jatavian Sanders for a touchdown. Henry To'o just couldn't keep up with the coverage there. Second team's out there. Good rush by Darrell Taylor to force an incomplete pass. Hunter Renfro's over on the sidelines, and he catches it, gets out of bounds. D'Angelo Ross is in coverage. Dalton quick to the left. Dalton quick to the right. Renfro again gets out of bounds. They needed just a couple yards. They went short to the right, out of bounds. I mean, it's just quick stuff. Just 1-2 step, boom. Get rid of it. Really good coverage from Tremont Smith on one of their receivers, forces the pass to go out of bounds. And then Dalton just throws just a seam right over the middle, all the way down to the 1-yard line. The Panthers were jumping around like they scored, and the official on the sideline very clearly tells them, 1-yard line, 1-yard line, 1-yard line. So they get up there out of bounds on a fade, and then little quick slant route to the right touchdown. So back-to-back touchdowns allowed in the 2-minute drill there for the defense to wrap up their day. That was team period 5.
Yeah, and that's probably why Will Anderson wasn't overly thrilled when he went to the podium. As far as the offense, we have a first-team rep for Blake Fisher. So Blake Fisher out there on the right side, immediately a slant to Nico Collins, and they hurry to the line of scrimmage. Right after that, Xavier Hutchinson across the middle. They complete a pass to him. He goes down. Then a hitch to Xavier Hutchinson. Then there was a play where number 31, I don't know if this is Blake Fisher's fault or not. It just kind of looked a lot like last year, but they ran a stunt with their safety on the left side, the right side of the line. Blake Fisher picks up the outside guy. If this were a real game, CJ Stroud would have had an imprint in the turf. 31 just though runs past him, ends up being an incomplete pass, but I don't know. This was just kind of a basic stunt, which we saw last year. But 31 would have completely beheaded CJ Stroud on this. Then we had some pressure from the left to skip past to Schultz. CJ had to kind of roll out. Then a good job by CJ Stroud on third down. He picks up the pressure. He dumps it to Dare Gumbawale. Then Hutchinson runs a slant. He gets lit the hell up. And I thought this could potentially be a fight. Dalton Schultz is kind of having to be held back. CJ runs over, grabs Dalton Schultz, moves him back, and then spikes the ball because they were in hurry up. So CJ was telling Dalton Schultz to kind of chill out. Hutchinson, then they take him out of the game because they think he might be shook up, kind of showing a little dog because he's pointing to the guy that hit him as he walks off the field and talking some crap. We don't really think of Xavier Hutchinson as that type of guy. We talk about how he's had a good camp, but he's feeling himself to where on that hit, he's still talking some crap. Now, he got back to the line of scrimmage on the original because that was what they were doing. It was hurry, but he was talking a little smack as he walked off the field, Hutchinson. Then CJ Stroud, this was one of his better plays. This would have been a game winner, one of those game-winning drives that we talk about. He feels it out, throws it to the right side of the end zone, and
Captain Kirk, can you sing me? Captain Kirk, I want to have your baby.
Christian Kirk in the end zone, touchdown. Titus Howard loving it, smiling, clearly healthy. They just gave Blake Fisher the rep, but a touchdown to Christian Kirk at the end in a would have won situation. Then we go to Davis Mills. You still have the just wild offensive line where you have Thomas at right tackle, Juice Scruggs at right guard, Patterson at center, Jay Thomas at left guard, and Austin Deculus at left tackle. This is not ideal. Will route to John Mechie. And he may or may not have been touched. They called him down, but he got up and ran after. Dalton Schultz was yelling at the ref, saying that's bull bleep. He was not down, and then was kind of arguing with Steve Smith a little bit, who was there. Just kind of fun, messing with Steve Smith. Dalton was. Then you had a slant to Cade Stover. Then could have been a pass interference in the corner of the end zone intended for Watson. They did not call it. But on the very next play, Berrios for a slant inside the 15, then a spike, and then the final play. This offensive period ends like the previous one did with a touchdown by Braxton Berrios. So Braxton Berrios with a good day. The 2 times that they've had live game-like action, Braxton Berrios has played his best. And I think the battle between John Mechie and Watson is very much alive, and that is where the attention shifts at wide receiver. I asked D'Amico after practice about those 3 guys. He just kind of said they're all competing. And
they're all doing good.
Yeah, I was like, can I get a little something? I did not. D'Amico also said they haven't thought about the 53. I cap can cap sometimes. Like I'm fine with it. I get it, but you have to be thinking about the 53 to a certain point. But right now, I think my point is that it's Watson versus Mechie. And I think they are, and I do think they're going to keep 7. So I think that's where we're at right now with Watson versus Mechie.
I tend to agree with the 7 statement, and it's a great job by John Mechie, because there was a couple of days in camp where it felt like, okay, he's dead in the water. And then the next thing you know, he's stacked days. They love that term, stacked days. He stacked a bunch of days in a row.
Yeah, and Hutchinson has helped him too. So
yeah.
There you go. So that's the joint practice obs. I don't know when the hell we're going to see Dameon Pierce and Christian Harris in live action. It feels like, I don't know that they feel that they need to see
Christian Harris,
but Pierce, I don't know where they sit there. I guess the Mixon status could play into it, but
I'd love to see Dameon Pierce in some live action.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he just wasn't ready today. Maybe we see him Saturday. Don't know. That's just kind of where they are. Are there any other takeaways at the podium or anything? CJ Stroud said he doesn't care about whether Nick Caley's in the booth or on the sidelines. There was also a lot of Bryce Young romanticism and like their whole journey and childhood.
Replay all the stuff from 2 years ago. There was nothing new there.
Yeah, so it was a bunch of Bryce, CJ talk. D'Amico really didn't say much of note, and Will Anderson, he was not pleased with the overall performance of the defense. Said it's got to improve. So that's what we got.
I liked CJ's comments about the offensive line, about how Caley manipulated the offense to kind of help them move in the pocket, quick game, when to put the quick game in. Like that. That's Caley's is obviously the 5 big uglies that they decide on are going to have to be the guys, but Caley understanding that those guys are an issue is going to be a part of this offense too. Something Bobby did not figure out last year.
Yeah, that will be the interesting thing to see. So tomorrow on the show, we're going to lay out the path for the guys that are trying to make this team. Cody's first going to make a list of guys that are locks, 100% locks. And if one of these guys does not make the team, he has to chug 7 ounces of apple cider vinegar on cut day. We'll see how conservative he gets. Is he going to be gutless? Or is he actually going to kind of push it a little bit? Who knows? We'll see how conservative he gets. But that will be the list. And then the remaining guys will do that. So they're off tomorrow. We are not. It's going to be a lot of fun. Look forward to that exercise. Shout out to everyone that we saw out there today. Those are your obs. We divided up the tasks. It was kind of hard for the fans to even see that opposite side of the field, but we had you covered there. We had you covered in the middle. We'll have you covered for the game on Saturday. Tomorrow, we will do the exercise, and we very much appreciate everyone for coming through. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. Be sure to mention. Be sure to weigh in on the question of the day. Is D'Amico Ryans too much of an offensive-minded coach? Appreciate y'all for coming through. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.